So this is the, I think, fourth time that I'm trying to do this video. The first time I finished it and forgot to save it correctly, like there's a right format that you need to save it, and then I couldn't figure out where it's saved to upload it. And then the next time I got interrupted by a phone call, and the time after that it wasn't letting me open this program, so I did it on my phone, but my phone was running out of space, so I had to stop, and this is now the fourth time. So I'm sorry that this is so late. I've been doing this for a while. And, yeah. So this week's topic is how we support our partners and how we support the, I believe it's trans or LGBT, whatever other letters, it's always changing, community. And I don't know. When I think of myself, I always like to think of myself as really accepting and really understanding. And I my mother thinks, actually she told me this the other day, that I tend to associate myself with people who are struggling or going through something. And I don't know why that is. I mean, I think that it could be because I feel like I need to help them. And part of it, I think, is mostly actually because I feel like I understand what they're going through. So I'm pretty open-minded personally. But when I was in school, when I was in high school, I went to Cheshire High School in Cheshire, Connecticut, which is a fairly affluent town, very much a part of white suburbia in central Connecticut, actually south central Connecticut. And I don't think that there even was like a GSA or anything in my school. People just kind of were what they were. And I don't think that I even knew anyone who was like openly anything. But it's just because we didn't talk about it. Not because they would have necessarily been shunned or anything. Just because we didn't talk about it. But when I went to college, there was a GSA or the LGBT Center or Pride Club, things like that. And I was never really a part of that. I had my friends, and I didn't really associate with the community as much as I could have. I mean, I'd support the drag ball every year, and if they were doing a fundraiser, I would do my best to help out, but I wouldn't really do much. Oh, my cat just ran into the window. I don't know what she's doing. She's kind of going crazy. But yeah, I wasn't really a part of any of that. And I don't know if that makes me a bad person, that I wasn't supportive of the community in that way. I mean, it's not that I was ever not supportive of the community. And I guess that's what's hard for some people to understand, is just because I wasn't a part of a gay straight alliance or a pride club doesn't mean that I didn't support them in everything they did. I just didn't associate myself with those organizations. And for me, a lot of that had to do with the politics of the clubs themselves. I could get behind what they were trying to do, but I could not get behind the politics of how they were doing it. The Pride Club at the college that I went to tended to end up being more about a hookup culture where people could find people like them so they didn't have to look so hard everywhere else, which in and of itself I think is fine. But I would have rather been a part of something that was helping bring awareness or things like that. So yeah. Outside of that, I started my own personal YouTube channel, I'm thinking like maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and I have since put that to the wayside, partially because I was finishing my applications to graduate school, and I started doing this channel, and I couldn't do both. I didn't have time. And I really need to get back on that. The reason I stopped was a little bit because I wasn't getting the viewership that I wanted, and two, it was really hard for me to just talk to a screen about my feelings and have to come up with a new topic every week and talk about things, and that was just really, really difficult for me. But I also am part of this, and I love my girls. Like Ricky, I have no sisters. Yeah, I've got 2 brothers, and so it's nice to have a core group of girls that I know will always be there for me no matter what. And like, even if I were to decide to stop doing this channel, or if Ryan and I were to break up, like, I know that they would still be there for me and they would always have my back. And that's wonderful. But that's support for me a little, and I understand that in dating someone who's trans, I'm an ally of the LGBT community, but I guess that in my head it's not really the same. So I guess I feel like I'm kind of a horrible person for not really doing more for the community. I'm not a part of support groups. I'm a part of partner groups, and I guess to the outside that looks really selfish. And if that's what you think, go ahead. I think that it's perfectly okay for me to be selfish sometimes. Because being trans, in my eyes, is something that Ryan is going through, and it's something that I need to be supportive of him in. But my support for him, or not my support for, but how I support him may be different than how somebody else going through the same thing may need support. And I have enough going on between my life and his right now that I don't think that it would be fair to someone else or a group of other people for me to devote time that I don't have to something, because that means that I won't be able to give them my full attention, which just isn't fair to them. When it comes to how I support Ryan, I tend to not hold his hand through a lot of this transition. He understood the ramifications of transitioning, and he has to navigate that on his own. I will be supportive in that if he wants to talk about it, he can, but I'm not going to tell him what to do. I'm not going to tell him how to do anything. I may give him suggestions on how I would do things if he asks, but I'm not going to hold his hand, because that's not helpful to him. He needs to make these decisions on his own, because I don't want him ever resenting me for it. But as for being supportive, I took 4 days off from work to take care of him after top surgery. I don't know. I'm his girlfriend, And I feel like that's where my support comes from, because that's part of what I signed up for when I signed up for being in a relationship. And when I said I want to be involved with you, I understood everything that came with. So for me, that's understanding that intimacy will come, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's just being patient, I think, is really the best way that I can be supportive of Ryan. So, not that any of that made sense, and now that I've rambled for all of 10 minutes, quick, short little updates. I have been accepted into NYU, New York University, and Long Island University Post, which has a campus in Manhattan at the Bobst Library at NYU, for a dual master's degree program in archives and public history and library science. So I will be moving at some point in the near future. When I say the near future, I mean in the next couple months. So I may have to take a hiatus of a week or two. Everything depending on when I'm moving. But I hope to not have to do that. And everything will we'll have to see how things go. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in my life. And Ryan will be starting graduate school at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. He's doing an online program, which is great for him because that means that he can kind of do it wherever he goes. And that's all for the updates, I think. It's spring break here for like the elementary schools and middle schools, and so I have a lot of work hours this week. So I'm sorry that I'm rambling. I'm tired and would very much like to go to bed, but I had to remake this video 4 times. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover, and I really should actually start taking notes so that I can just follow my notes. But whatever. It is what it is. Excuse me. So I think that's it. And again, questions, comments, concerns, and down below. And one last thing. If your partner or anyone you know is a FTM transgender male and is interested in doing a collaborative channel, my boyfriend Ryan has recently become the administrator for T-Nation, which was actually started by a wonderful man named Stefan and his wife Amber. Amber actually used to run FTM Sweethearts, but Stefan has needed to step down because they have a lot going on in their lives, and Ryan is taking charge of it. And they are looking for 3 new men to fill 3 days. I'm not exactly sure what days are open. I'm pretty sure Mondays and Fridays are not. But they're looking for 3 new guys. And so if you are interested, I will leave Ryan's email in the description down below. And as always, subscribe and all that jazz. And I'll see y'all next week.